Fish on. All right, on the Dick Knight. There we go, I got it. Oh, what a beautiful fish. Wow. Look at that. Oh, what a hog. Man, that's a dandy trout. Look at that beautiful rainbow. What a dandy fish. Wow. Awesome. Just totally awesome. Let me get reorganized here, get him on a stringer, and we'll get back at it. Our destination this week is Lake Davis. I landed that 24-inch rainbow up at Davis last October, and I can't wait to get back there this spring. The bite is on, and it's going to get even better. Let's start with an overview of the lake. Davis was formed in 1966 with the completion of the dam. It's about 5 miles long and 2 miles wide. It's a shallow lake and very weedy. Has an average depth of about 21 feet. And those weeds support an epic population of aquatic insects, and those insects fuel the trout fishery. And the trout get very large at Davis very quickly. In terms of services, the lake is located, it's up in Plumas County. It's located near the town of Portola that offers everything from gas to food, lodging, tackle, and more. So the lake's very user-friendly, and anglers travel from all over to fish there. Guys from Reno love to fish the lake, Truckee, Quincy. I go there from Forest Hill on just a day trip. Of course, guys from Sacramento and the Bay Area find their way up to Davis as well. There's a lot of campgrounds at the lake. There's a lot of launch ramps at the lake. So it's easy to get out on the water and catch a limit of trout at Davis. Now, over time, there's been a lot of drama at Lake Davis. From the late 60s through the early 90s, it was known as just an epic trout fishery. But then in the mid-90s, apparently someone planted pike in the lake, and pike became a real problem. The DFW did not want the pike getting into the Feather River because then they would have been loose in the Delta, and that would have been a disaster. So they poisoned the lake a couple times in the 90s. They tried to kill the pike off. Apparently it didn't work. By 2007, the pike were back. The DFW poisoned the lake again, and it looks like they got them all. There's been no pike reported since then. And the lake has been heavily planted, and the trout population has taken a hold again. The trout have gotten very large. There's big numbers of trout in the lake, and I can tell you the fishing is just absolutely phenomenal there. So let's take a look at how you can go up there and catch some fish. Fly anglers do very well at the lake, working things like damselflies, woolly boogers, and a variety of smaller offerings. Your bank anglers go out there with standard stuff, and they just spank them. Inflated worms, a bobber and fly, even power bait works well there. And go up there, until the water gets warm, and expect to catch a limit of trout fishing off the shore. But Davis is really good for trollers, and that's what I like to do. I like to take my kayak up there, paddle that shallow water, and just round up a bunch of trout, and hopefully you get into a big one. I mean, I know of fish to 27 inches that have already been caught this spring, so I got my sights set on a big boy. So a variety of different lures will work, but I'm going to bounce some of my favorite offerings off of you guys. So here we go. Let's get started. Of course, the lake's up in the high Sierras. It sits at an elevation of about 5,800 feet, and that means flatfish work well up there. The F7, the larger one, that'll work well, but the one I really like is the F5. Now, frog is a great choice, but other colors will work too. Your brown hues, even orange hues will work, but man, when I'm in the high Sierras, I like to run that frog pattern. So run that from 1 to maybe 1.5 miles an hour. That's a killer at Davis. That fish you saw me catch on the opening, well, that fish grabbed a brass and orange Dick Knight spoon. Now this is the medium-sized Dick Knight. When I caught that fish, I was running a tiny one like this copper version. So Dick Knight's top offering for Davis. The fish feed on bugs. So if you go small, you're kind of in the strike zone. They expect to feed on relatively small stuff. So small spoons like Dick Knight's work well, as do the Vance's Tackle Sockeye Slammers. This one's copper and chartreuse. That's a great color for Davis. In general, I like the brass. I like the subtler stuff at Davis. Chrome lures have their place up there. They absolutely work. But you're going to do better with the brass, the gold stuff, the more subtle stuff. If you like to pull Rapalas, don't hesitate to pull the old perch pattern Rapala. Go with a relatively small Rapala, but they work really well. If you like pulling stuff from Max Lure, your Cripple Lure, your red and brass, or your brass and orange Cripple Lures, they are right at home at Davis. Pull them right at 2 miles an hour. Check them frequently for weeds with that treble hook on there, but they will pounce all over that. Now, if you get up there, the hardware's not working, the plugs aren't working, you're struggling a little bit. Of course, a threaded worm will work. That works great. If you don't want to get your fingers dirty, you don't want to fish that dirty bait, which, you know me, I have no problem fishing those worms. But if you don't want to fish a worm, don't hesitate to put on a small Berkley Power Grub in some kind of natural hue. It could be motor oil, an olive hue, a brown hue like that. They all work. No blades, no nothing. Just troll that naked. Troll it slow, 1 mile an hour. Make sure you got a good trolling swivel on there, because that thing's going to spin and make a big mess if you don't accommodate that. But grubs work very well. They work great at Eagle Lake. They work just as well at Lake Davis. Now, when I'm at Davis and I want to catch a big fish, even though my biggest Lake Davis fish came in that tiny Dick Knight, but when I'm there and I want to catch a big fish, you know what I'm reaching for. I'm reaching for my Arctic Fox trolling flies, just like that. Tui chub pattern works great there. I had really good success last fall on a rainbow trout pattern, which is real similar to the Tui chub, except it's got a little blue and a little pink in it. And orange. Orange works, orange rust color works great throughout the Sierra. Orange colored Arctic Fox flies, they work fantastic at Davis. So that's kind of an overview. Those are the lures I use. Your mileage may vary a little bit up there, but just remember, it's a lake that is full of big rainbows. It's not a bait fish lake, so I wouldn't bust out my 3.5-inch spoons and troll at 4 miles an hour. That'll probably work part of the time, but in general, get out your offerings that you like to troll slow, your subtle stuff, your stuff that has subtle colors, and you're going to do just fine. And the trout, I haven't fished it a ton since the poisoning, so I'm not sure really what the best areas are. I really like to launch up at the Lightning Tree and fish down towards the island. In fact, I want to camp out on that island a little bit this year. So me and Lucy, that's kind of the plan. I'm going to take my little backpack and tent out there, spend the night on the lake. That should be pretty cool. So anyway, if you like trout fishing and you haven't fished Davis in the last few years, I strongly urge you to get up there. Davis is back. The trout population is robust, and they're hungry. I know guys, like I said, I know guys caught 27, 28-inch trout this year so far. Paul Nealand of the Fish Sniffer was up there. Him and his partner, they had like 19 fish to 20 plus inches. I want to say they had a 23-incher. So if you like battling big, hard fighting rainbows, beat a path to Lake Davis. It's going to be great this spring, and it's going to be even better this fall. So I'm going to be there both. I'm going to be there this spring. I'm going to be back up there in October, and I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, that's our destination this week, Lake Davis. Get there or be square, baby. Anyway, we'll be back next week with another awesome fishing destination here in the Golden State.